Our next speaker is Mark de Quervain. Mark has had a long and successful career in marketing, particularly in the cinema industry, including being the co-founder and marketing director of View Cinemas. He's here this morning to tell us about how he successfully launched Real Cinemas in Farnham with his very own case study.
Hey guys, lovely to be here. Thank you very much, Emma, for inviting me. I've only got 10 minutes to talk about something that took many months. So it's a helicopter view, but I hope you will take something out of it that you can apply and use yourself. And if you have any questions, of course, I'll be very happy to help. So I won't do a lot of intro on me or the company. I'm just going to dive into the presentation. And this is the launch of the new Real Cinema in Farnham, which, as many of you may know, was a very controversial thing for the council. And Farnham actually didn't have a cinema for over 40 years. So this was quite a big event. So Real is a company, and there's the owner here, SiGNAL, and there's me. Anyway, so SiGNAL is a family-owned business. They've been in business 23 years. They have 16 sites across the country, and Farnham is their latest one. And this is us at the UK Cinema Conference talking about our business 2 weeks ago on a panel. But basically, Farnham, I just want to say that Farnham is an oasis. For those of you who live there, probably think it is, but it is actually surrounded by very strong competition with other cinema chains. And a lot of these chains opened as a result of Farnham not opening in the past. In fact, I opened the 2 View sites in competition. So now I actually had to open the cinema against my old company, which is rather amusing. So it is actually very, there's about 40,000 people in this sort of oasis, and it sort of bridges out. And then what we need for the cinema to be successful is a really strong organic growth. So that we need to create new attendances that wouldn't happen otherwise, and we need to steal people from our competition. So we need both these things to happen. I would say from a timeline, we actually started the marketing of this cinema really in a very compressed period, because obviously the longer you spend trying to market something, the more expensive it gets. We actually started mid-December 23, and the cinema opened on February the 2nd. So, we had about 6 to 8 weeks in which to get this thing open and open big. It was a relative cold start. We had no data, we had no, information, so that we couldn't just do something and reach out to people very quickly that we already had on our books. And we had a really small budget. When I opened, View in Camberley and Farnborough, I mean, the budgets back then were 6 figures, right? This was much, much, much less. So basically, I just want to say the strategy was remarkably straightforward, but actually it's how you execute it that matters. But it was primarily digital and data-driven. That's where we felt that we could get the most bang for our buck to create an audience base, find people that we opt into us, that we could then communicate back to them about the cinema itself. We did do some local media, but it's, the days of buying large outdoors, posters, 6 bus shelters, and that kind of thing are for us gone. So we did do some which included the local newspaper, which we felt was actually an important thing to sort of lock into because of their outreach. But also, Reels positions themselves as the real heart of the community. That is our brand. So we wanted to bring that to life. So we did, part of this was doing a lot of community events, whether it be charity-based or working with the UCA, which actually has been fantastic because of the college there. Really talented young students. In fact, they're doing work right now which they're getting marked on as part of their course, and that work is actually helping us to market the cinema, and for us it's free, right? So it's fantastic to have all these eager students telling us how we should run our business, which is brilliant. And then the other end of the scale is working with U3A, which you probably know is sort of the retired sector of the community, but very active. They have a very big branch in Farnham, so we've done a lot of work with the U3A guys to bring that older sector into the cinema with special screenings and events. And then working with schools, getting school children in, doing sort of fundraising for schools and that kind of thing. All really great sort of outreach, including football teams. I could go on. Opening events, well, clearly we had the opening when Jeremy Hunt was there, the mayor was there. It's a big event for the community, so it worked very well, got tons of publicity. And you can see here some of these sort of pictures here from the press. I like this. Real Farnham seriously underestimates popularity of booze on cinema's blockbuster opening weekend, which is clearly we did. We ran out of booze. We actually we created our own gin as well, and also our own beer, and we worked with local distilleries and that kind of thing to sort of microbreweries to bring all of that in. So you know the sort of the pre-opening is sort of quite compressed in weeks. And the post-opening, of course, you open, which we did in time for half term, and that was deliberate. But also, you know, you've got to keep going because when something opens, it tends to open quite high and then drops off. If you don't, you can lose momentum. So we're still doing this, you know, every day. But also the other point here is that we tapped into local social groups where obviously a lot of you would be posting your own businesses. And of course, this is a really great way that, you know, you can put stuff on local social pages and things that again doesn't cost you anything, but you can reach thousands of people, and then through what you put out you data capture them. And that was the point. We wanted data. We put hooks out there, but we want to get people data captured. So the sort of stuff we did, and of course being a cinema, we do have quite a sexy product, I have to say. So, you know, things like, you know, win a private screening for you and your friends is always a sort of lovely thing to do. And we had thousands of people, you know, responding to this competition via social, and we also boosted it and put a bit of money behind it. But when they entered the promotion, they opted into us, right, to receive marketing. And then we did all kinds of things, including our manager. He wouldn't like this picture of him, but Dave is a really great guy, so we made him like the hero of the cinema because, again, it's been in the community, it's all about him. So he did all the early sort of sneak peek behind the things. He was just filming himself on his cell phone. And then we put this out, and people loved all this, you know. It was just great, sticky content. Didn't cost anything to do. And at the same time, we also sort of promoted sort of our price before 1 o'clock was $3.99 for all films, for all tickets, because there was this theory, there was a sort of this perception that it's going to be really expensive being in Farnham, and we sort of headed that off pretty quickly with this offer. So, and that's still running today, and it's been very successful. So lots of social posts, lots of paid social, and also lead generation ads that we did on Meta to get people to opt in to win tickets. Everybody loves free tickets to cinemas. So, you know, we had I'm not going to go through details here, but, you know, we literally ran multiple campaigns, either via the promotions we did or upcoming movies like Mean Girls, of course, and others. And, you know, we were able to track our ROI very quickly, you know, how many people were opting in, what the click rates were, what our ticket sales were doing. We were able to sell tickets before we were open, which was also really good. So by the time we had already opened, that opening weekend was pretty much booked out. And also, this is through all this activity we did, we also got people to rate upcoming movies, right? So in the social posts that we did, they could win tickets to the cinema, but they also had to rate upcoming movies. So then their responses in terms of scoring a film coming up 1 to 5, you know, we data captured their responses for every single film. And on that basis, we were able to create a film profile for Farnham within about 3 weeks. So what we did is we listened to what people liked. We then actually put on the films they wanted to see. We then told them that they were the films they wanted to see and they could book them, and they did. So in other words, we had this conversation with our public, right, rather than just pushing information out. It was a dialogue. So we listened, we fed back, and they really loved that. So now we're actually doing quite a lot of this. And actually, we found that Farnham, this is actually the whole circuit for real, but we found Farnham had a very specific nuance in its film type. So there's films like The Taste of Things, which is a small Irish movie coming out soon, was actually testing above Ghostbusters, which is extraordinary, right? So we're actually programming specifically for Farnham, and also it has a lot more movies than a sort of typical 6-screen multiplex will do. We're very much more offering more choice. And then as we, you know, over the period of years, the time that I've been working with Reel, we developed sort of like a digital toolkit. And this is, I'm not going to go through what all of these things do, but basically, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel every time we do something, we just go into our little magic box and pull out what we need, right? So if you are doing things on a regular basis, whether it's launching something new or something you do every week, having a regular sort of a toolkit that you go, oh, actually, I need this one for this because I know it works, so I've actually proved it works. Right, so all this stuff that we've developed over time, and this isn't all of it, we go, we want this because, and we know it works. We've proved it works. So you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel, and that's where you can waste a lot of time sort of trying to keep coming up with something new, and sometimes you don't need something new. You just need to pick out the right tool for the job. So this is actually just a nice little suite of stuff here. Lots of bits and pieces that we do. So, excuse me, so basically, on the 9th of January we had, I just wanted to give you some numbers. Yeah, I like numbers, but I can't give you them all because they're kind of secret. But basically, on the 9th of January we had 700 odd Facebook followers, and now, right now, we have 1,500. Right, so what happened on Facebook is that people were liking our posts. As you know, you can invite them to follow you. So part of that was all the time building that up. So this actually, for a cinema that's so young, is actually a really good number. Ultimately I'd like that to get over about 2,000. But of course, the thing you have to make sure is that your followers are active. You can have followers, but inactive ones. So don't, you've got to have a look at your activeness of your data. And our marketable customers, bearing in mind, by the way, in mid-December we had 0. We now have over 8,000 marketable customers that we email every week, right? So we've gone from 0 to 8,000 in a really short period of time. And that is on a relatively low budget, right? So, it can be done. I mean, obviously cinema is quite a sexy product, but, we're really pleased with that. And considering the population of Farnham is about 40,000, it's not a bad ratio, right? Considering one person would be like the head of the family of 4, right? So if you look at households, this is actually a really good penetration of the market. Of course, our competitors have actually signed up as well. So but anyway, so what's the outcome? Well, Farnham is actually the top performing cinema in the circuit, right? From nothing to being number 1. And it remains number 1 every single week. The second most popular cinema on our circuit is actually in Burnley, near Blackburn. So, and that's well established. So we're really chuffed with that, right? And also, looking at the data, and we have access to a lot of data, we have driven both organic, brand new cinema attendances, and we've certainly hit our competition. In fact, when I met the head of VU Entertainment, actually at a conference a couple of weeks ago, he was having a bit of chat about it because he's definitely feeling the bite. And the great thing is that it's still growing, right? So sometimes you can open big and then it just drops off a cliff. But this sort of maintaining that momentum so you have a positive incline of growth is really important. And we're evolving our offering. So as we get more knowledge, more data, more insights, more data capture, more responses from customers, we're just sort of gradually optimizing the offer, improving what we do. And of course, this includes customer feedback and NPS and everything else to make sure that we're delivering a great service. And we are still continuing to support with marketing, not a lot, but some, and it's still working really well. And, from looking at how this has been received in the industry as a whole, not only just about the community, but the whole UK industry have noticed how well this cinema has done, right? So, Farnham can be considered a small town, but it's actually delivered big, not just within the local community, but also it's been sort of highlighted as a great example for the cinema industry in the UK. So that's all I have. I mean, I don't know how long that was.
That's great.
I've got another 2 days. But any questions, seriously, any questions, honestly, because I mean, I've flown through this, and honestly, there's a tremendous amount of work and involved a lot of people, so.
Thanks, Mark. That was really interesting. So, question time. If you've got a question, stick your hand up now, and I'm going to write them all down, and then in the 5 minutes that's remaining, Mark's going to answer 2 or 3 of them, and maybe they're a general theme anyway that he can expand on. So if anyone's got a question, stick your hand up if you've got a question. 1, 2. Okay, go for it, Matt.
So you mentioned before that you were speaking to. Sorry.
Quick question.
Oh, you spoke to the community. You curated the viewing options around what they wanted. Is that generally something that is happening in the industry, or is that something you've innovated?
We're actually spearheading it more.
Yeah.
So it's
I think what we're going to do is just
okay.
write up 5
Oh, sorry.
and then you can decide which one.
I'll take a few crystals. I might need them.
Do you want any more water or anything like that?
Okay, who has
No.
another question? Yes.
I was just wondering if there's like a monthly where you can pay and watch X amount of movies, like a membership type.
Subscription model.
Okay, next.
So even now the streaming market is getting declined, like even Disney Plus or Netflix is suffering. What do you think about like the traditional movie theater? What's the biggest competitions? Or is it online or physical cinema?
Right.
There's competition between the physical cinema and online streaming services. Anyone else? Yeah.
You talked about your content that you put in the local area. So you talked about you connecting with groups that are in the local area and the social media content. What I'm interested in is the difference in the reactions that you got to the content, whether it was from video, whether it was picturing something interesting or it's very corporate related. I'd be interested to know kind of which one's got
Okay, last question.
Last one is, what's the total bill cost of the whole project?
Ooh.
Before we into cinema, right?
Well done, Barry.
Okay, Mark, do you want to take that in any order you like?
I've got to
then?
spend 3 hours in a week.
So let's just deal with the subscription thing. It's debatable whether it makes money. All right. I have clients who have subscription. I have clients that don't. Real don't. We are going to launch a membership program, but it's not going to be subscription. It's complicated. Suffice to say, there's a sort of, biggest competitions. Well, all film consumption is healthy for us, right? Because people enjoy movies. That's a great thing. What's great is that we're pushing more about this, what the cinema experience is, and people actually do love it when they go. It's a community, shared experience. A lot of investments going into the cinemas themselves, beautiful seats, better screens, laser projection, great sound, and you can't get that at home. So, we're finding that, and also just so you know, there was a sort of a big clash over the pandemic when sort of windows collapsed. But when I say windows, the release windows between cinema and home entertainment. And in fact, they've opened back out again to more like 7 to 8 weeks. And in fact, studio heads that actually sort of try to get rid of them have been fired. They actually believe cinema is important to the industry. And in fact, that's where the majority of the studio makes their money on movies. And a successful movie release in cinema actually drives more viewings when it hits video. So it's a win-win for everybody. So, the industry has had its challenges and has its challenges. We need to get people back from COVID, which is still a challenge. We have increasing costs with utilities and everything else, and sort of cost of living crisis, and then the writers and actors strikes in the US sort of affecting content. So it's been a sort of like an awful storm for cinemas overall, and a lot of them have had financial troubles. But they're running on really low margins and really tight resources. So getting to this, doing something like this is really hard. And to this point, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right?
I was going to say excluding marketing, branding, if someone put their
It's in 7 figures.
Okay, cool.
Right? To do anything decent in cinema, you're into a lot of money.
And how many screens has this one got?
6.
6 screens.
About 1,000 seats.
And do you own the site then?
It's not a freehold. It's lease, as far as I know. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. So basically, and then community needs. Oh, so content. So the content we put out, we do lots of different kind of content. It's not generally corporate, but we do like to push out, film content that studios make because actually they are expert at doing it. But we have our own tone of voice, and we like to say things in the way that we say them. But we like to put out content that engages people into reacting to it, rather than just going, here's a film, here's another film, here's another film, here's another film, because most people just get bored sick of it. But our challenge is that we, in Farnham, we will release about 300 films a year, just to put that in scale, right? So it's all about film discovery. Okay, and the top 10 films still represent about 80% of all admissions. So you still have to sort of play with the long tail as well as look after the blockbusters. What else was there? What was your question? Community needs?
So you're curating films around the communities, what they want to watch.
Yes.
Rather than being spoon-fed what you're going to.
Well, yes, that's right. So we can go to there's a company called Park Circus where we get lots of reruns. So we're doing even things like sing-alongs. We obviously have a live theatre and ballet and opera and sport. We're doing real classics. So we're bringing back some really old films that people really want to go and see. Star Wars one is coming back. Superman's coming out again. We're doing a whole range of curated rep content, it's called. And then, of course, working with students, they're actually, like the college, they will actually film their own content and we'll run them as shorts. So, if we can have local content made in Farnham, we'll put them on the screen.
Yeah.
You just plug it in. It's a laser projector now. You don't have to make film. You just put it. Or you can play PlayStation on it. That's really fun.
This is really, I find that really interesting because it gives a platform for interesting content rather than just how
Exactly.
many superhero movies can we consume?
Precisely. So I think this week we've got Anatomy of a Fall on, right? And that's practically sold out. We sold out a Frozen sing-along. It's great. It's just one show on a Saturday.
Okay,
That's it.
brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Very much.